I'm just a sinking ship, and you're just a pair of lips that I've lost in the moment. All I want is for you to come back. Now I'm caught in the middle of life, and I need.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. And once again, I bring the heat with my friend and colleague, former CIA analyst Larry Johnson. How is it going? The busiest man on the planet.
Yeah, man. Well, it's good to be with you. Appreciate the invite as always.
Hey, Larry, as you and I were talking earlier, I wanted to ask you, what is the deal with the Black Ops helicopters that were destroyed in Ukraine, and were there more than one destroyed?
What I understand is that there were a total of 3. The first one was on the night of the 28th, 29th, started on the 28th and landed, after midnight on the 29th. And that had 11 people on board. The next night, or maybe 2 nights later, they sent in 2 more with, they had 20 to 24 people involved there. And at least two of the 3 helicopters in total were shot down. One was destroyed on the ground and one was shot while flying. So, not very good news for the CIA.
And so with a mission like that, to risk that, do you believe that there was some important people that they were after trying to extract, or because a small amount of troops like that, commandos or whatever, could not change the tide in the battle that's going on?
Yeah, no, that's exactly the point. That even if they managed to build up a force of, quote, 34 people, all they are is a big fat target for a Russian drone. So I think that the most likely explanation, because of the GUR's relationship, people talking about the operation, what they were going to do. So, any number of ways they could have found out, and I don't think we'll ever know.
So now, where do we stand with the cruise missiles from Trump and the provocations of transferring the so-called cruise missiles to Ukraine? Because Russia said that they would strike back and they would strike hard.
Yeah. No, Russia's sincere about that. Trump has, in his last public remark, said, no, we're not sending Tomahawks. Pentagon said they had approved, given their approval, telling the president, yeah, you can send them if you want them, because we got enough for our own use. Maybe that's what they told him. But I think Trump got a message from Vladimir Putin that mirrored what was said in public.
But that means throwing away millions of lives, and possibly the total breakup of your country after material greed. Do they sit down? Do the oligarchs sit down and think about that? That what country will they have to go to when their country that they're in and they're controlling, pulling the strings, falls apart?
So let me ask you a question. When you're out walking on the sidewalk and you step on an ant and crush it, do you have to sit down and have a talk with yourself?
Nah.
You keep moving. That's why. I mean, these aren't people to them. They're not human beings. They're just numbers on a page. And that's part of the problem. One of the things the former prime minister said to me was, he said, look, when I took office in New Orleans during the terrible hurricane and the flood, and they claim to be a person of great religious faith. They're praying, God, come rescue me. And first thing you know, up drives a Coast Guard boat and says, hey, where's the Coast Guard? Hop in. And goes, no, I have my faith in God. I'm waiting for God to provide. So they leave. helicopter. It's absurd.
Yeah.
Not thinking it through.
Because Venezuela is roughly the size of California and New Mexico put together. So that's huge. Larry, man, I want to thank you again for coming through for me. Because I know you're busy and I know you're tired. You've been making your rounds. You came back from Russia and you still made time for us at the Red Pill Diaries, man. I really, really appreciate it. And I'll send you the video.
I always got time for you, brother Rashid. Thanks, man.
All right, man. Be blessed, and I'll send you this in about 10 minutes.
All right, sounds good. Bye-bye.
All right. Be blessed. Everybody, listen, we want to give shout out to M for the $2 super chat. We also I just want to say a few things as we look at what's going on, okay? Everything is pointing towards something greater, something new coming in, and what we're watching is the Western world fighting for its life, okay? They're fighting for their lives. They're fighting to try to maintain I would say the the position that they've endured and they've longed for and they've dominated in and all of that stuff. They're fighting for all of that. They want that. And they're willing to go to war with everybody and anything to try to prevent the rise of multipolar powers and a multipolar world. But this time, they can't. The tide is against them. The time is against them. A lot of people have to realize that time, the measurement of time, if you don't measure time, you can be out of time. All right. That's why when you look at your watch and you have an appointment, you say, oh, okay, I have this amount of time to be there. Because if I'm not there in this amount of time, then I can miss out on this opportunity where America and the Western world are missing out on their opportunity because they're out of time. The policies that they have are out of time. The position that they've had as the world hegemon is out of time. And when you've dominated the world landscape so long, it's hard for you to come to the realization that you are no longer the dominant power. And this is what's driving America's foreign policy. This is what's driving the British foreign policy. This is what's driving NATO mad, because we're in a new paradigm, a new world.
The shadow of Jesus Christ, the tabernacle.
What's driving NATO mad, because we're in a new paradigm, a new world. And this world that is shaping up is not under the dictates of the West. And this is unacceptable in the mind of the exceptional nations in the exceptional West. And that is why it is leading us closer and closer to war. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me on the most powerful platform for truth anywhere on God's green earth. This is your platform for education, elevation, and edification. This is the Red Pill Diaries. I'm your host, your brother, and your friend, Rashid. And I want to say this from the depth of my heart to the bottom of my soul. Do right by others, not because there's some material gain or there's some accolades behind it, but do right by others because it's the right, the humane, and the godly thing to do. Because even when no one else is watching you, God Almighty is watching you. As my late and beautiful and precious mother would always say, God sits high, but he looks low. Meaning he sits on the throne of power, but he watches everybody. All right. And know that I love each and every one of you who loves truth. But know that the love that I have for you will always pale in comparison to the love that the true and living God has for you. Until we next speak again, stay strong. Stay true. But above all things, remember this, to stay righteous. And I got to say this at the end now, because my son keeps getting on me because my mother always would call him her baby boy. So, mama, your baby boys, Rashid and Kabari, loves you more than life. Deuces, everybody. Thank you. We're out of here. Peace.
Told you to walk away. That was my first and last mistake. I'm blue without your face. But what can I do? 'Cause I'm just a sinking ship, and you're just a pair of lips that I've lost.